Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, Genesis, Season 3, Episode 18, The Two Faces in the Mirror. When last we left you all, you had been navigating as best as possible through the Nexus Project, 1975. Many of you playing the roles of various known Nexus characters. And by the time things ended in 1975, at least for you guys, several of you realized you weren't just playing as these characters, your characters were actually cohabitating within those bodies. By the time the jealous mirror fully took over and engulfed you all and drew you in, things were going very badly. Though you know you've seen them in 1985, in 1975, you saw Dr. Devin Sharp killed. You saw operations admin Carlene Adams killed. Strangely, you saw Persephone, to some degree, seemingly killed. Other lives were threatened. Laz and Jessica occupied those Devin Sharp and Carlene Adams bodies. Rosie and Oak separated from Dr. K and and Ashley Raven. In my head I went Ashley Birch, nope. Ashley Johnson, nope.
Nope. The famous Ashley.
Poor Coop lay unconscious under Persephone's body for quite a time before people noticed him, and ultimately it was the attempting to rescue Coop that ultimately led to everybody else being pulled in. Even Billy got separated from Darla Stapler. So for a brief time, the two familial werewolves were running loose in the facility. It ended with all of you gasping for air while underwater, and only two of you, Rosie and Laz, maintained consciousness. The other four of you unconscious, as you found yourself bobbing to the surface of the natural spring in the heart of the Valley of the Giants, where the incredibly tall cedar trees grow on South Manitou Island. You floated to the surface of this spring, also known as the Jealous Mirror. While Rosie and Laz, you pulled the others to the shore, and you were gasping for breath while your friends lay unconscious, and you at least hope it was only unconscious. You hear the cocking of a gun and the voice of Mouse O'Connor pointing her gun at you and saying, "You've got a lot of explaining to do." And by way of transition into this opening episode, imagine, if you will, when the opening credits and Welcome to Paradise, Michigan Genesis displays, and it fades to black. All of a sudden, that blackness turns into a circle as the camera pulls back.
Oh, out at the end of the barrel.
Inside the end of the barrel of the gun.
I see it.
And continues to pull back until we see Mouse O'Connor holding it, and then pulls back until we see coming into frame on either side Rosie and Laz, with the rest of your friends at your feet. Rosie and Laz, what do you want to do in this moment?
I imagine my back is to her, and maybe Laz's isn't, and I just kind of like look freaked out, and I just say to Laz, I'm like, "Who is it?"
I think her name was Mouse. Laz is, aside from a sweater that is tied around his waist and legs, he's completely naked still.
About that.
And I kind of like, I roll my eyes at this point. When he says, I think it was Mouse, Rosie rolls her eyes and like, kind of like springs up. Like, you remember the very brief scene in Karate Kid where Johnny goes like from his like knees position to just boom on his fucking feet? That's about how quick Rosie stands up, and she turns around and she's like, "What do you want?"
I want to know what is going on. I want to know, where have you been? And why, after a week, you just suddenly come bobbing up from under the spring? Like
Week.
you're resurfacing seals or something.
A week?
Been a week since you all vanished.
What about
Okay.
what about Sophie?
I haven't seen her.
Okay. We need to take care of our friends. That would be a hell of a lot easier if we weren't afraid we were gonna die. And I like slowly like put my hand on the barrel of this fucking shotgun. Like,
It's
it's
actually a long rifle.
great. Okay.
Bolt
I put
action?
my hand on the barrel of this long rifle. And I kind of like try to like push it like off center.
You see, she resists for a moment, and as you touch the end of the rifle, you can feel just this momentary jitteriness of her nervousness that then turns rock solid. Look, I don't have a reason to shoot you, nor do I want to. So please, don't give me a reason to.
Do I look like I'm gonna give you a reason to shoot me?
He is naked. They might be dead. Can we take care of this first, please?
I would like both of you to make charm checks.
I
We
knew
need
you-
carrots.
Finally,
for
I
this
can
kid.
say to make a charm check, and it actually
Hey, and
works.
it's not
It's
weird.
actually right.
Yay!
I keep
Charm is a thing in this game.
in all of my other games, I keep asking people to make charm checks when I mean charisma.
I got a 2.
Yay! I got a 1.
Well, let's see how
We're gonna die. It's gonna
Yep.
happen.
we're gonna see how Mouse.
1
So
bullet. 2 kills.
charismatic.
Let's see, Mouse has...
Doesn't help that this wool skirt is like shrinking.
God damn it! No, you can't take care of that first.
All right, so Mouse rolled a 5. She just takes a step back away from you, Rosie, and then she kind of points with the rifle at the unconscious ones and says, "Get them over there by the fire."
And Rosie just starts
Thanks.
dragging like probably Oak first because he's just a little guy, and and I like was like, we need to do something, and I go to Laz and I just kind of shrug.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. Just help me think.
Okay,
Nice.
all right. But let's just
You
get
get
everybody
Billy.
over by the fire, and we can get him warmed up and maybe conscious again. And
Yeah.
maybe we can hatch some kind of plan.
You
Keep
see,
it Billy, please. He's huge.
you see,
Yeah.
as you're moving them over by this fire, you realize that this is a camp that looks like, for all intents and purposes, it looks like Mouse has been camping here for the entire week.
Oh.
Like-
Good. Perfect.
Like right, it's not like right on the shore, but it's just a little bit up from the edge of the shore, and it's about 50 feet back from where you guys are right now. And you
Are
see
we
she's
in? Sorry, are we in the same part of the forest where Sophie and her dad's cabin were in the
No.
cave?
No, that's
Oh,
on the
okay.
entire. So the Jealous Mirror is about, if I remember correctly, it's about 2 miles due southwest of where Sophie's dad's cabin and
Okay.
the cave is. So yeah.
Gotcha.
I would check the pulse of somebody just to see if our friends are alive, which we have still not established.
So there is no specific medicine check, but I would say let's go with let's call it a brains check.
Oh, good.
Try as well.
2 again. Great.
Laz got a 7.
Oh.
Okay. Each of you make one more check.
Also brains?
Yep.
Okay.
There's 4 unconscious people, so I'm having you each make 2.
4.
Okay.
3.
So right off the bat, Billy's got a strong pulse. Jessica's pulse is there. It takes a minute to find it. Oaks, you kind of panic a little bit there, Rosie, as you're checking for Oak's pulse, and then you find it.
Oh God, Jesus.
You can't find a pulse on Coop.
Oh no. Am I checking Coop or is Laz?
You were checking Coop and Oak.
Okay. I'm like, Laz.
Yeah, what's going on?
And you see me like hunched over Coop, and I like kind of put my hand on his chest, and I look over at Laz, and Rosie has this look on her face that is like,
no.
And I can't say it out loud.
Laz will stop whatever he's doing in the middle of what he's doing, and he'll move over to try to look closer. Hey, Coop. Kind of like leans down and pats him on the cheek.
Go ahead and make another check.
I couldn't. Oh, fuck.
6.
As you pat Coop on the cheek, and then you kind of feel along the side of his neck, you find it. The pulse.
No. He's still got a pulse. He's alive.
Oh, God.
He's
Coop,
alive.
Coop, you're just... It's like when somebody's trying to wake you from a very deep sleep. You faintly hear voices, muffled and distant, and you're pretty sure somebody just smacked you in the face. Not hard, but...
I'm gonna roll him over onto his side. Kinda
Recovery position.
Pat him on the back, like with like a cupped hand.
Coop, make a grit
Come
check.
on, bud.
Just gotta cough up some water. Let's go.
What is my grit? All right.
Laz, when he grows up, becomes a cool, tatted up EMT.
That is a 5.
Yeah. Coop absolutely expels a good liter or 2 of water.
What? That's a lot of water, Jacob.
I don't know. I'm just
He's
saying.
got a big tum-tum. And lungs.
I don't know. A liter's like what, 1/5 of a gallon?
Yeah. I'm picturing a liter like Mountain
You were
Dew.
I don't know why I said liters instead of gallons or what ounces anyway. I think because I looked up and I saw
Got too
M
many-
and I immediately
We play with too
code
many
switched.
Canadians.
Yeah, I was
This
gonna
is what
say.
happens.
Canadian influence.
The side of the island
It's like
is on
Jedi
Canada.
mind
Canada,
trick
sorry.
over 6 years.
Metric.
It's like subliminal messaging. If you
But
go
yeah,
back, like
Coop
MJ
expels
says it all the time.
expels about a liter or so of water, and yeah. But you're starting
Gross.
to gain consciousness there.
I think Rosie kind of like is taken aback at all this water, and she goes, "Ew."
Yeah. Hey, Coop, you okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Man, that was you scared the hell out of us.
What did I do?
Well, it
You almost
was what
died.
you weren't doing. Yeah.
Jacob, what does Coop remember? What's the last thing Cooper
So,
remembers?
everything that you remember, and then from not the last session, but the previous session, well, I don't remember where it was exactly, but you also remember that somehow you felt you were back in the in that sunroom at the Stapler Mansion, with Persephone threatening to rip your skeleton out of your body.
Okay, so that's where Coop thought he was in Stapler House.
Yeah, you may even have thought you were back in it originally, like however you interpret that, but that's the absolute last thing you remember.
I remember being in that future place and going through and seeing Algernon smash up our console. And then I was back in the house when I lost my hand and Persephone was trying to kill me.
Laz kind of grows a little quiet at the reminder of that particular moment.
Whap!
And then you smashed her in the head, and then I woke up.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad that not all of us had to relive that moment. But you feeling
no.
okay?
Are Jessica, Billy, and Oak dead? Oops, realizing
No,
they're also
no.
laying on the
They're
ground.
just no, they're fine. We're just not gonna give them the water bladder treatment.
All three of you can start to hear sounds. You can feel, you can hear the sounds of a crackling fire, and you feel the warmth of the fire, and you hear Rosie, Laz, and Coop's voices near you as you all three begin to, for you, it's not as big of a struggle because you only lost consciousness in the transfer from the Jealous Mirror to, well, the Jealous Mirror. But yeah, the three of you start to regain consciousness.
Can Laz try to find some clothes that Mouse might have that she'll let him borrow?
She wears men's clothes. We've established this. This is perfect.
I think there's probably hanging over here, let's do this. I'm gonna give you clothes, but I want you to roll a D100.
Okay.
The closer our numbers are together, the more complete your outfit is.
All right. Sit on a 47.
56.
Not bad.
All right, yeah. That's close enough that you are able to you can see that she has sort of a makeshift laundry line, and that she has some dungarees and a flannel shirt, and
Dungarees.
what's the word I'm looking for? Undershirt.
Flannel.
No. Well, I said that, a flannel shirt.
Sorry.
Long underwear?
Not a full set of long underwear
A union
because
suit.
she's wearing that.
I
But yeah,
imagine
you
we- 'cause we
find
established,
you find
she's-
pants and a shirt basically, and
Yeah. We established that she's super petite.
oh yeah,
So,
but she
I think,
also she also
he's
wears men's
high watering.
clothes.
Right, but I think he's high watering, the
Oh,
pants
yeah.
only come down to mid calf or something, and the sleeves in just below his elbows.
You can't quite
Incredible.
button up the shirt.
Right.
No.
Laz over here looking like Ichabod Crane. Just
You hear as you walk over there, and the others start stirring. Mouse just kind of goes, "Yeah, sure. Help yourself to my spare clothes."
I'll get him back to you. I swear.
Well, hopefully you can explain why you showed up out of here wearing nary a stitch, but
So, what do you want to know, Mouse?
what do you
Just so we can get
actually,
done with all this.
when you say that, she actually lowers the rifle and
Good.
takes a step forward, and she just goes, "What do you mean? What do I want to know? You've all been gone for a week after mysteriously showing up on this island and in this camp, supposedly lost, left behind by some other transport ship or something. And then I find out that this one," and she points over to Jessica, "who was riding with me in a cart, told to stay put, appeared over a mile away under the influence of a vampire."
Oh, well, I mean, it sounds
And
like
then you all
already
come
know
popping
more.
up out of the
Okay.
water after a week.
Well, so as you needlessly, as you understand, it's kind of a lot. So if you want to be a little bit more specific and we could kind of break it down bit by bit together, I think that would be acceptable. Guys, what do you think?
She takes
I
one
like-
more. Well, first, before she does this, I want a charm versus charm roll.
Oh, good. Oh, great.
I forget what her charm is. One second.
Got a 3. Got a fucking 3.
What are you rolling?
D6.
So am I.
Oh.
Oh, so I think the two of
Standoff.
you, I think the
They're
two of you are
53.
kind of going 2 to 2, or
Mhm,
2 to
mhm,
2,
mhm.
toe to toe,
Toe to toe. I figured.
going 2 to 2.
Great
No,
Wait,
it's 3 to 3. It's 3 to 3.
Right.
I think
As-
there's this moment with the two of them standoff, and then like when a kid wakes up from like really deep sleep, but is like coherent enough to like notice that something is happening.
Mhm.
Oak is sopping wet. His eyes are barely open.
If you want to know answers, I can give you answers. I just need a minute to. Okay.
Listen,
There's a lot, and it's way more than I think you can handle.
you see her kind of cool down a little bit. As she sees you, Oak, and she kind of looks over at Coop, the two youngest of your group. But she does take a half a step, not even a step. She just sort of leans in towards you, Rosie. And she goes, "I may only have 5 years on you, but just know, I ain't above punching a kid in the face. Keep your mouth under control."
You're not a. I looked down at her because she's little. And I said, "You're not above too much, are you?"
All right, I'm going to make you roll one more time, and if you
Good,
roll lower
bitch.
than her, you're getting hit.
All right. So, what,
Charm again.
Yeah.
so while you're rolling, I don't know where in this conversation Billy comes to, but I imagine the sound and the sense are vastly different of where he just was. So like, I imagine he like quickly rolls into a crouch, and seeing that he's in a vastly different place than he was before would be like looking for the half picture in his pocket.
Yeah, so first of all, Mouse actually does kind of take a step back from you, Rosie, and she actually, you get one of these. All right. She
Cool.
appreciates the way you stepped up,
I
and
wanna
we're
be
not
Mouse's friend.
intimidated by her. And then
Awesome.
we kind of cut over to Billy suddenly sitting up and frantically searching through his pockets, and it takes a moment, but you find it. It's damp, but it's not completely ruined. You find your half picture.
Okay.
Ooh, I forgot about the picture.
Do you conceal it from anybody else?
Yes. So
Okay.
I would try and preserve it as best as possible, but not try to like make a big show of it.
All right, listen up. I don't know what all you've been through, but I've been waiting here because a friend told me that sometime between now and the next moon, you all would be showing up here. So I've been camped out here waiting for you. I've got food. I've got other additional sleeping bags or sleep bedrolls. And if I dig around a little bit, well, I might be able to find something that fits you a little bit better. Most important is you all need to, as much as you're comfortable, and clearly you are the most comfortable of your group of friends, strip out of your wet clothes as much as you can and get warm by the fire. Get your clothes dry. Get some food out. You can start telling me what's going on.
I think Rosie takes off her shoes and her hat, ironically. It's just like that's and her socks, and that's like about all she's willing to take off here.
Yeah, I'm not. This isn't some kind of weird role play voyeurism where we need to know exactly how far down does everybody strip.
Right.
It's more just to the effect that if some of you are in partial dress or whatever, that and I would assume if you feel the need to strip down a little more, she'll give you a blanket or something to cover up with.
Oh, the party.
The important thing is that she's shifted into helpful camp survivalist. She breaks out some cans of beans. She adds some coffee grounds to the cowboy coffee kettle over the fire. I'd say she even pulls out a cast iron pan and probably throws in some meat and eggs into the skillet and starts cooking up some food. As you all take however long to kind of get situated. While she's busying herself with that, this is a time where you all can sort of catch up with one another.
I'm fairly certain that Billy has spent several sessions half dressed after the one thing and another. So like he's got no real shame in at least pulling off the top half and letting that hang out and dry.
He's got a 6-pack. He wants to show it off.
But
he's so proud
as
of
far
himself.
as like
anybody need to do laundry, Billy's got the washboard.
But as far as like connecting, I feel like what's just transpired is kind of like reawoken, the hard feelings, and he's trying not to let it show on his face, so he's kind of like pulled back a little bit. Like he's like trying to cover it up, but I don't know how well, by like sitting and staring at the fire, and it could come across as, oh, well, he's a scout. He spent a lot of time playing with fire. Maybe that's something that he just enjoys doing. So I don't know if you need a roll to gloss that over or not.
He's quiet.
I think
quiet. He's tired. Him's a tired boy.
I think in the same way that grit is used as sort of an insight check, I think in this case, let's use grit to determine how well you're able to mask your emotions.
All right, so that's an 8.
Okay, so we'll establish 8. That's the number to beat if anybody, just aside from your own trauma you're recovering from right now, if anybody tries to scrutinize Billy or thinks something might be off, you're gonna roll grit versus 8. Otherwise, otherwise you're fine.
I have one quick question to help clarify our chats here. Do we remember being in the adult bodies? Like, do we have those memories?
Here's what I'm gonna say. Because this was very similar to when you shifted iterations the first time. This was a question you all had. was how much do we remember from the last iteration? How much do we remember from our real lives? And I left it up to you to decide whether you think your character would suppress some of those memories. For example, Coop only remembers time traveling through the portal with you all and then reliving that horrific moment and then popping up in the water. Coop has no memory of coexisting with Persephone in the Nexus Project labs. The rest of you experienced separation from your host, if you will. So I'm going to leave it to you to determine how much of the time you were cohabitating that you remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Rosie remembers that Ashley has a fucking passenger, and she's sort of starting to second guess how we feel as a party about Ashley. And I think she vaguely recalls the murders. You know, just those things.
The highlights. You know.
Yeah, the highlight reel. Yes, exactly. And so I think Rosie is kind of quiet too, but just taking all this in, kind of.
Coop's happily chomping on some beans that were provided to him. Ooh,
Are they all beans?
And
The brand on the brand on the can of beans is American West.
And it
so
looks like all beans.
So it looks like all beans.
Yes.
AW real big.
Great. Now I need a new all beans shirt. I need to design an
but
American
it's like
West.
Old fashioned.
Yes.
Dude, amazing. With like a cartoon cowboy that's
it's
like the
canon now.
mascot. Dude,
he's
Sorry, go ahead,
gonna
Coop.
he's gonna turn to it's fine. He's gonna turn to Oak, who is probably sitting by, and say, Did Mouse say that we've been gone a week?
Yep. Sounds like it.
Wow. I guess Sophie's okay then, huh? Because if we were gone for a week and Sophie wasn't here, I think Mr. Grumpy Pants would have eaten everybody on the island.
There's this moment where like when kids say something outlandish that like the other kid wasn't expecting to think about but now is clearly thinking about, and the anxiety hits, there's like this, you just gave him smelling salts, because like the idea of him being completely zonked out and then the idea of Mr. Grumpy Pants running around the camp eating everyone alive, it's just like
this is a whole ass camp full of people who forgot about the fucking T-Rex. Like, yep.
But why would you say that? Why Coop?
Because it was a real concern, Oak. Like if we were gone and there's nobody to feed Mr. Grumpy Pants, then he'd probably start eating loggers.
Well, okay, well that's wonderful. Now we're murderers. Now we're murderers. Because if we I don't know.
Coop wouldn't know that. I was gonna say we're only accomplices.
We're only accomplices.
At worst, we're
I've seen enough Law and
yourselves.
Orders. It's fine.
Coop was raised by the early seasons of Law and Order. You know that's
early
true.
Law and Orders.
Law and Order didn't start till the 90s, did it?
No,
Yeah,
Law and Order started in like I think the late 80s.
Okay.
88, I believe. So sorry. Still probably wouldn't have been there, but anyway.
Yeah, but there was also like Hill Street Blues and
Doink,
LA
Dragnet.
Law.
I feel like Oak is looking to Coop, and he puts a hand on Coop's shoulder. He says, "Buddy, let me just be honest with you. If you don't remember what happened in the last week, I'm happy for you, because I wish I didn't know. But it's all up here right now, and I want to scream, I want to cry, I want to fight, I want to run away and hide, I want to do so many things, and I don't know what is the right thing to do or where to start first. All I know is
and he stops himself and he just hugs you. He just hugs you, and even though he is a sopping wet mess, still he's just like, I'm just so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that all of y'all are here, and it's okay. We're gonna get Sophie. We're gonna get back to the portals. We're gonna do all the things. But
I don't think we can do the things anymore, though, Oak. Or the thing got destroyed, right? Has anybody gone to look?
Actually, that makes Oak think about something. Question to you, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, Dr. K had the icon device in his hand. Would Oak have the icon device on him now that we?
No, because
Okay,
you separated.
Just
But-
questioning it because I wanted to make sure if that was a
But
thing.
there is an icon among all of your possessions.
Okay. So
Because one of you has it in their possession.
has it in their possession
And
Okay.
has had it for a very long time.
There
without
is
Well,
knowing what
here's
it
a
was.
question. Wouldn't Oak know that because he's actually seen it? Rosie's
Mhm.
shown it to him.
So I think
Yeah.
there is that revelation moment where he, actually, there may be a way, but I gotta just check something. And he immediately will go over to the other side of the, he'll immediately go to the other side of the fire pit. Rosie, do you remember that little, when we were in school, that rectangle
Yeah, I remember
that had
school.
the
Oh,
okay, the rectangle. Do you
Yeah.
have that? I kind of
I go over to my backpack and I dig, and I imagine you see a crumpled up piece of paper and like a I don't know, a comic book and a Matchbox car and a baseball
Well,
and
more like a spitwad and a
Yeah.
very waterlogged comic book
oh,
and
shit.
a very,
Shit.
very wet rectangular glass screen device.
I have I take the comic book and I put it over a stick that's near the fire, and I'm like, this is important. And then I go back. I'm like, yeah, Oak, you can just get in my bag. You can get whatever you need out of there.
Oh, okay. And he'll reach in and okay. Oga. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to figure out how to. I don't even know what to do with this thing. I gotta try it off and then hope it works, I guess. And he'll try to figure out a way to dry it off. Seeing as in the 1980s, we didn't have cell phones like this, so I have no idea how this would be dried. I don't think he would.
I think-
Just hold it over the fire.
Yeah, let's just melt
I
this
think-
these
Yeah, you don't know anything
microplastics
about
over the
lithium.
fire.
You don't know anything about lithium-ion batteries and
Nothing
overheating.
nothing like a firework pit.
I
It
feel like
explodes in my
as it's a well-established fact that Oak is the one that has the most electronic devices of anybody
Yeah.
else. That in the 80s, if something got this wet that was electronic, you immediately assume it's just screwed. But the only thing you can really do is wait. Just let it air dry and hope for the best.
Yep. So
I don't know that we really had the knowledge of, using a bag of rice. Because a bag of rice, I think
I don't know if people in this time had rice.
I think
I'll
the
put
I think the rice thing was sort of predicated on the fact that phones are sealed devices. You can't open them up and dry them out and stuff
I'll
like that.
put it
but
down on the sand near the fire pit, so it's not directly close to the fire pit, but it's enough to get
Yes.
that residual heat.
If there's
to-
two things that phone-like devices love, it's water and sand.
and heat, water and
Heat.
sand,
And dry
heat.
sand.
dry sand and
He's
heat.
trying. He's brainstorming. Don't give him a hard time. Did you find what you
Baby.
needed,
I'm
Oak?
12. Let's remember, I'm 12. Yeah, I'm gonna hope that this will work. It might take a day to dry off, but I mean, at the very least, it's something.
Yeah. I'm good. And I start repacking what is salvageable into my backpack. And I'm just watching my fucking Action Comics number 541 hanging and trying to dry, and Rosie's one more fucking thing to be concerned about.
That occurs to me that like anything and everything that is electronic that Oak would carry would have been in his backpack too. Like the idea of like the camera and the
cut to
the
Oak's got a VHS camera, an audio tape recorder, a Polaroid camera, one of those little Tecmo, one of those little red blinking light football games. It's all just laid out.
Oh yeah,
a Casio. You got one of those Casio calculator watches that transforms into a robot.
I feel called out because that's legit. Yeah, that is legitimately what Oak would have. Like these.
I think between looking at the fire and looking at her comic book, I think also Rosie is like once in a while glancing over at Jessica and then like acts like she wants to say something but doesn't, and just kind of like looks back at the fire and is sort of seemingly concerned.
Yeah, Jessica's been really quiet. Her hair is deflated by I think probably 60%. Now that there's no
she's only at 40% strength.
Yeah.
No, even with coming out of the water, it still has.
Oh my god! This is at least 5 years of Aquanet, like built in.
Oh,
like
there's like layers.
Yeah.
Your hair's partially hydrophobic.
She can be considered half otter right now, but yeah, Jessica's really quiet. She's just been kind of staring into the fire during all of this, making kind of occasional glances at Mouse and Oak, but and you see, I think I like to imagine, and stop me, Jake, if this is going too far, but I think she makes these occasional looks at like Rosie too, and I imagine it's always like off, like when Rosie looks at her, she's not looking, and then but I imagine that Jessica feels this weird sense of animosity towards Rosie, or this like weird sense of, and how I imagine it, it's like the part of her that was in like associated or connected with Carlene sees Rosie as Ashley Raven, and there's like that weird feeling of you killed me but not really, so.
And Rosie is silently like wanting to ask Jessica but can't because it's weird, like how much do you remember? And so like this is like definitely like two ships passing in the night, but very much like the same concerns.
Yeah, same thoughts, but very there's like a tension, I would say. Yeah,
it's seems like to a certain extent a lot of you are sitting around the fire sort of sitting with your own trauma.
Yeah. We used to just talk about all this shit. Now it's quiet. Bottle it down. Down.
I think actually Laz is kind of the opposite. Like he is surprisingly okay with how things turned out. Because
he's not Devin Sharp anymore.
Devin died, and I don't know that he really remembers much else about.
Why so glum, chums?
Yeah, and he's okay with that. But his big concern is the fact that all of his friends seem to be shook at the very least, if not, injured or almost drowned. So I think he's actually making sure that everybody's got food, enough blankets to stay warm, bringing them coffee if they'll take it. He's very much concerned for them at this point.
Jeremy, I think
Oh, yeah.
if you approach Oak,
Apparently, I'm
there's
dead.
this moment where Oak will he just hugs you the moment he sees you. And then he goes, Hey, so weird question.
Yeah?
How did it feel being Devin? That must have been real weird for you, dude.
You know, I don't really remember most of it. I remember dying and then waking up trapped inside his body.
That is wild. Because yeah, the only thing I remember about that was like I saw it on the thing and I saw Devin Sharp and then you were overlaid over top of that. So I was like, how in the world? And then I put two and two together and that must have been the strangest thing you've ever gone through. He kind of like puts his hands on your shoulders, like as if he's the big brother to you being the little brother.
Oh
He
my
goes,
God.
I am so sorry for your trauma. And if there is anything I can do when all this blows over, we can hang out and not have any of this nonsense. And we can just be some guys enjoying comic books and snacks and like, a game or something. That would be fun. It's a lot, right? It's a lot.
It was kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, only like in reverse.
Oh, whoa, okay.
So it was, it was really weird.
My
kind of
mom
being-
won't let me watch that movie, but I
Well, I know
hear
what
it's
we're
really
doing
good.
when we are gonna hang out. I know what we're doing then.
No way! Oh, okay, cool.
I'll rent it from Blockbuster and we can chill out.
Oh, that would be awesome. Okay, I gotta go fill Mouse in on some stuff.
As you
But-
say that, Mouse reaches over from behind you
Oh,
and has a one of those what's the word I'm looking for? Like enamel coated tin. I don't know if they would have coated them in enamel back then. A tin of coffee, and says, "I only got so many cups and tins, so you're gonna have to share amongst yourselves." And as she starts handing out a couple plates with some cut up pieces of meat and some egg, and basically for every two of you there's at least a mug of coffee, she says, then she grabs just a can of beans that has been sitting open next to the fire, and just kind of tips it back like drinking something, and says, "It's so wild that you all speak English, yet I cannot understand more than half of what y'all are saying sometimes. And the more you all talk, the more difficult it is to understand what's been going on. But I understand when I see that people have been through something difficult. And I want you to know I'm not here to be some kind of a bad guy, I guess. Honestly, I was here keeping an eye out for you because some friends told me that you would be coming through this way and that you were going to need somebody to take care of you when you showed up. And while I don't understand everything that's happening, I understand that my place is to be a helper. To help those that are doing the big things. And I guess from what I'm told, you all are doing some of the big things.
When you
It's hard to
say
explain.
friends told you we'd be coming back this way. Who was that?
Well, and she kind of looks up, and by now you realize, because you've been sitting by the fire, it's starting to get towards twilight. And the fire is reflecting off of the still surface of the spring, the jealous mirror. And you can see climbing up some of the trees, you can see that orange glow of the fire flickering upward. And you can see the faint, darkening sky. So you can just make out the shadows of the tall trees reaching up into the sky. Billy, would you please make me a brains check? And I want you to what's your die that you're rolling brains with?
D20.
So smart, yeah.
I'm gonna have you roll a D20 and add a D4 as well.
Add a D4. Am I blessed?
Yeah, exactly. Or baned.
If the 4 gets a 4, does that explode?
All dice explode if they max out.
Oh!
That's a 14, sir.
Now, it's going to be hard for me to fully explain everything, because as I said, I'm just a helper, but my friends are coming. And they're coming peace-like. Don't be afraid. Billy, as she says that, you catch a scent on the wind. Wolf. And the wind shifts like a living thing. Chill in the air. Cold, sharp, blowing through the Valley of the Giants. The towering cedar trees groan above your heads, as if these ancient limbs sense what is about to happen. A silence falls, deep and unnatural, as if the forest itself is pausing to listen. And though you only caught a momentary hint of their scent before they showed up, there was no other sound to precede their arrival. They are suddenly here. 5 great wolves step out of the trees, one after another. From between the trees, like ghosts rising from the earth, not crashing through the underbrush, but gliding purposefully, unnervingly silent. They do not growl, they do not bark. They are simply there. The first one is massive, taller than any natural wolf, with thick gray fur streaked in silver along its spine and muzzle. Its eyes are like still water, deep and knowing, holding a centuries-old calm that commands the space around it. It stops at the edge of your camp, head raised, nostrils flaring. Behind him comes a darker shape, a jet black wolf bristling with barely restrained fury. Its eyes burn ember red, every movement sharp with tension. It paces in a tight circle, tail lashing once as its gaze locks onto you. Jessica, you recognize this wolf, the one that spoke to you when you were frozen under the vampire compulsion. To its left moves a tawny wolf with delicate white markings across its face and paws. Its presence is softer, mournful even, but no less intense. It pads slowly, eyes a mossy green that seem to reflect the trees themselves. Next is a pale gray wolf, almost ghost-like, with a blue shimmer in its fur when it passes through the firelight. It moves with practiced stealth, silent and smooth, its head always low, scanning everything without a sound. Also one of the wolves that you encountered, Jessica. Finally, a cream-colored and regal-looking wolf with golden streaks along its shoulders and crown. It seems like less a predator than a spirit in wolf shape. Its eyes not focused on the physical world, but on something beyond it. They form a semicircle around your group, hedging you in with wolves, creating a feral wall between you and the forest, and at your back, the jealous mirror.
Oh, good.
5 wolves, 5 sets of eyes, and you realize that all of them are staring at Billy. The largest wolf, the silver-backed one, steps forward. He breathes in again, and for a long moment the world holds its breath with him, and then without warning, he steps towards you, Billy, and it begins to shift. There's no sound of bones cracking, no screaming, no tearing flesh. This is a effortless, painless transformation, like mist changing shape. The fur folds inward, flowing like water over stone. Limbs stretch, twist, and straighten into the shape of a man. In seconds, the wolf is gone, and in its place stands a native man. He is tall and slender, his long black and silver hair falling in braids over his shoulders, skin the rich brown of river clay. His eyes are deep brown, flecked with gold, calm and unreadable. His leather garments are stitched with feathers, bone beads, and woven cedar bark. His bare feet rooted to the earth as if he had always stood there. Behind him, one by one, the others shift as well. The jet black wolf becomes a broad-shouldered man with a scar cutting across one eye, muscles rippling beneath a torn hide vest ripped with claw marks. The tawny wolf emerges graceful and tall, robes of woven reeds and hide flowing like river grass, her long hair and braid her long hair braided with herbs and feathers. The pale gray wolf becomes a wiry young man, his cloak of bark fiber barely making a sound as he moves, his eyes sharp beneath a fur-lined hood pulled low. The regal-looking wolf transforms into a barefoot figure, androgynous and ethereal, golden eyes glowing faintly as if the moonlight lived inside them. A cedar flute hangs at their hip, swaying gently. The leader takes a step closer, specifically to you, Billy. The others hanging back, silent as stone. "We are the Anishi," he says, voice deep, low, and steady. "I am Ashkiba. This is Makabe, Nokimos, Waban, and Ozawindib. We are the guardians of this island. The wind carried your scent, boy. In the cedar smoke, in the earth, in the still water of the mirror." His gaze narrows, not unkindly, but full of searching weight. "You are touched by something old. Something not of one world or the other. Who are you? And who walks with you as your pack?"
My knowledge, I am, like my friends here, one out of time. One gifted with abilities. And in my case, something similar to what you have. What you are, I don't know. I am still trying to figure out exactly what it is. From what little I have gathered, it is something that has come down my family line. My mother, grandmother, great-grandfather all supposedly possess this ability. Though I have not seen all of them in my memory transform.
We have told you our names. Will you speak your names to us?
My given name that I prefer is William Simpson. William Stapler is how much of my life I.
There's a subtle growl from the one known as Makabe, who was the Black Wolf, when you say Stapler. Ashkaba barely glances over his shoulder at Makabe, and Makabe settles himself. He nods his head at you. William Simpson. And your pack. And he looks around at the rest of you.
I'm Rosie. I think she freaking says so like she's been holding her breath and she has her bat out. She's been just like this whole like fucking nervous and she has her bat out. Yeah.
I don't know if pack is the appropriate term.
I look offended.
Your spirits are connected. I can tell that. You may
Yes,
not be a pack in the sense of wolves or dogmen. But you're a pack. Rosie...
With a mouthful of beans, Coop says, I'm Kenny Cooper, but you can call me Coop. You guys are so cool.
Metal as fuck.
Laz just kind of like gives a half-hearted wave. Lazarus, I guess, but you can call me Laz.
His middle name is, and I look over at Laz like I'm gonna say it. His to tell. I have a feeling Laz's middle name is embarrassing, and I want that to be canon.
It is now.
It's Gertrude.
It would be.
It's a family name. It's like 15 generations back.
Orson, Axel Kubrick, but most people just, even my parents, just call me Oak. So
when you
Oak
say
it is.
oak, you see one eyebrow go up on Ashkaba's face, and you actually see the other four wolves turn their attention to you, or people, I should say, in this form. As they turn, and a couple of them kind of lean over and whisper to one another.
I'll lean into Billy. I think.
Is that a good thing? I don't know what. I don't know. Should I be worried?
If they had meant us any harm, and I'm not whispering.
Yeah.
If they had meant us any harm, we'd be dead.
Okay.
He's just
You
like
actually
very
see
uneasy.
you actually see Makabe grin fiercely, his teeth fiercely white in the firelight when you say that you would be dead already if they wanted, and he's just grinning like you can't tell if he's
Jesus.
grinning because of how smart you are to say that, Billy, or because of how much he wants to tear your throats out.
Wow. Okay.
So, correct me if I'm. Tell me whether this assessment is accurate. I know that they were able to basically get right up on us without us having a clue. I have vague recollection of being Darla as a werewolf, and I as Ted know that there was a time when I transformed and the other werewolves were around. But do I as Billy have any memories of being around any of my other family members transforming?
Yeah.
All right. So if I had to like rank or put in categories, like these five are like above anything my family has done, right?
And clarify. What do you mean by that?
Like the ways that they shifted forms, the way that they're moving. Am I right in my assessment that these are like a tier above what my family is, or do I feel like when I am at my prime with this that I would be their equals, or would I be their lesser?
So I wouldn't say I wouldn't necessarily put it in terms of like a hierarchy per se. They're definitely different, and the most notable, and you sort of honed in on one of the primary differences. When you and your family transform, there's always been a level of pain involved. In fact, your first transformation was marked by the excruciating pain of shifting bones, and even when you quote unquote wolf out, and you do so quickly, it's still a painful process. Bones cracking and snapping into place. These wolves shift without pain, and there does seem to be almost I guess smooth, the word is escaping me, but it's
like Transformers.
It's even, I would say, even less Transformers. It's more just almost like a morph, if you will.
Like Animorphs.
Yeah. We have been waiting for you to return. I don't know what journey the spirits have put you on,
Too much.
but I do feel, William Simpson, that you and your pack, you have important things to do. And I have been led to tell you our legend, and our tale, if you will hear it.
It was Makabe that
Makabe was
kind of
the
growled at
yeah.
the name. I have no problems hearing the tales. I always feel that legends, knowledge, even if they are merely entertaining, which I doubt what you're offering to do is just that. But I would ask one question, and I would direct my focus to Makabe. Can you tell me why my what would be a good word choice? My unpreferred surname displeases you?
Okay.
We will answer your question. Let me tell my tale first, and your question may be answered in the telling of the tale.
I smile at that.
He walks past you, and he walks towards the edge of the flickering light on the surface of the water. Please, continue to eat and drink and nourish yourselves. Feed your bodies, and I will feed your mind. He kneels down next to the water, his hands resting on his knees, and he looks up to you, Billy. You feel it, don't you? The ache that is not just yours. The hunger that is not just for meat. The pull towards the moon. And something inside the moon that's pulling back. He looks you in your eyes, not accusing. There's no fear there, he's just seeing. That feeling has a name, William, and a story. Cinematically, I like to imagine during the telling of this tale, we see sort of a representation of the tale that is being told as Ashkaba speaks. When the ice left this land 10,000 winters ago, it bled the earth. It gave us rivers, islands, the lakes, but it also left a wound deep in the valley of the giants, where the cedars grow so tall they remember the shape of the first stars. The center of that valley, in a hollow shaped like a cupped hand, water welled up from the earth. The name for this spring, in your tongue, has been translated to the jealous mirror. In our tongue, it is Wawash Keshi Dibishku Nibishenenshak. Most today refer to it as the jealous mirror, because when you look into it, it does not reflect what is there. It shows what is missing. From this mirror, and his hand glides lightly across the surface of the water, came two spirits. The first was Mishigami, born from the earth water and breath of the ice itself. He became the warden of the lake. You have heard his name before. He is the strength of the waves, the calm under the storm, the silence that follows thunder. He gave us balance. But there was another, one not of this world. It came not from the water, but from the reflection in it. It slipped through when the surface was still. A spirit cast from far above, from the moon. We call it Ndawa Aki, shadow of the other world. You can simply call it Dawa, the hollow, the echo from the moon. Dawa was never whole. It is a sliver, a cold breath of something larger that still lives in the moon. It had no body, only thought, only hunger. It lingered in the valley, in the hollows of the cedars, in the stillness after you stop speaking but before the forest answers. It could not leave the spring unless it found a body to wear. But Mishigami saw what had come through. He bound the valley. He sang into the stones. He planted the cedars like centuries. And he left the spring, becoming one of the 5 wardens of the lakes, our protectors, our kin. The Valley of the Giants has kept people away ever since. They say the cedars whisper, that the air feels wrong. But it's not the valley that's wrong. It's Dawa. The reflection still waits, still calls. And those with power, the blood changed, cursed, the gifted, we hear it. So do others. There is a vampire now, with a voice that curdles songbirds, and a dogman, twisted by greed, who smells like brass and burned cedar. They cut into the valley, tear the old trees for their own gain. Every fallen cedar bleeds strength from Mishigami, and with every breath he loses, the Dawa grows stronger. But there is another path. Ashkaba reaches into the water. The surface does not ripple. It just receives his hand as he reaches in. He draws out a flat black stone, smooth, etched with a faint spiral. Steam rises from it in the cold air. He rises, walks over to you, Billy, and places it in your hand. It is warm to the touch. This is called the Moon Key. It was born the same day Dawa entered this world. It holds a memory of its shape, not just the shadow, but the outline of the spirit. If the day comes when you must stand before the shadow of the other world, this will help you see it for what it really is.
And you offer this to me freely?
I do. You are not Anishi, William, not by blood. But your soul walks the same trail. You carry both, the howl of the moon and the silence of the deep water. Our stories say one like you would come, a child of both worlds, not to destroy Dawa, not to chain it, but to recognize it, speak its name back to itself, make it whole. When that day comes, remember, shadows only exist because something is blocking the light. Find the light, and you will find the truth. And when the mirror calls, don't look away.
So I think like Billy stood there transfixed, this being like fully grasping his attention, and whether anybody picks up on it, I imagine his demeanor, his stance, like relaxes, and the whole stress of, or not stress, but tension that he's coiled in, with this whole situation with Anne, being thrust back upon him. All of it is momentarily like put aside, forgotten, as like he pulls all of this in. Not that he's not caring about Anne. Like this is like sating that thirst for information. Like his family held anything back about what he was beyond just, oh, this is what our family does, get used to it. So I feel like he's listening with rapt attention, trying to absorb everything, every little subtle nuance, just to kind of pull it in.
I will, of course, provide you all with the names and descriptions of each of the Anishi pack later, because I threw a lot of native flavored names and words and stuff. Big time lore dump. Does anybody else have anything to say? Because for now, Ashkaba is not speaking. He's just looking around at you all.
So, I want to ask a question as Ted. Was there, like, would this scene have gone different? And you don't have to, you can plead the fifth. But if I would have just said, "Oh, I'm Billy Stapler," and not said that I prefer to be William Simpson,
you'd be dead.
Would that have been different?
My hesitation tells you to some degree, yes, it would have been different.
Okay.
To what degree, I won't tell you. But I will tell you, not in every case, but in a lot of cases, I prepare for certain outcomes.
Sure.
And I was prepared for, depending on how you were going to answer the question of what is your name. And it applies to all of you too, because if some of it was banking on how honest you all were, would sort of flavor. It's kind of like when you think about in Baldur's Gate 3, there's certain scripted events, but the attitude of those and how you're received depends on the attitude you have going into it. So that's as far as I'll go with that.
Okay, that's perfect. I love that because it's a thing that like pretty much since the end of season 1, like Billy doesn't like the fact that he's a stapler. Like we've got this enemy and he's connected to it, and yet we've had to keep this thing going. So I love that aspect.
So,
but I look to Makabe. So like, did my family take the power that wasn't supposed to be theirs? Is that how we do what we do?
Makabe takes a moment and he starts to open his mouth to speak. And then he glances over at Ashkaba. And Ashkaba just nods his head ever so slightly. And Makabe looks at you and says, "Your pack, even now, cuts down the mighty giants and places them on their great boats and takes them across Mishigami's surface toward the mainland. With each tree they cut down, they take some of his essence. Before you leave this valley, look around you in the light of the new day and see the broken stumps that remain of the mighty giants they have taken already and will continue to take. I do not hold you accountable, but I smell the same blood of the dogman that I smell upon you.
I hold nothing back. I am by blood a stapler, and many generations from now is when I will be born. As stated, I and my friends here are out of time, trying to solve numerous things that we've been thrust upon over and over again.
I think Rosie emerges having a can of beans in her hand, of course, beans, and she's like, "It's worth noting. He said we were, all powerful people. We're not all dogmen. We all have different stuff." So,
as you say that,
just you can continue, and I kind of like try to fade back into the bucket.
The one, the tawny furred one, when she was a wolf, is Nokomis. She has, during this tale, she had taken the coffee pot and dumped it out and basically has boiled some water and is now pouring some tea and has poured tea into this large cup and is actually approaches you first, Rosie, and she holds it to you and she says, "Drink this to soothe your spirit."
Last time somebody told me to drink me and it would soothe my spirit, all kinds of shit happened and I had a really bad headache the next day.
She smiles and kind of laughs a little bit, and she says, "This is herbal tea."
I take it and I kind of like smell it.
Well, she doesn't. She doesn't give it to you. She just wants you to
Oh.
take a sip from it as she holds
Oh.
it out to you.
Oh shit. Okay, I do.
She smiles at you, and you feel the warmth spreading. Not like alcohol, but there is something extra to this. It seems to spread further than the sip you took. And she's going to approach each of you and hold this cup of tea out for you. Jessica, do you drink?
No, I don't think Jessica would. She almost got eaten by these people, by these wolves.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason that they were not going to eat her is because they smelt Billy on her. She's still kind of resentful of that.
Got
So
a
I
little
think
bit of a
she's-
grudge.
I do think she wants to try to fake it. She
So
doesn't trust these people.
what I would like you to do... Yeah, okay. This is going to be... I think this is going to be a charm versus charm, because you're basically doing a deception. And where is it? There we go. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. I will roll my charm so you can see what you're up against.
I got an 18 on my charm.
Okay. Yeah. Nokomis takes you kind of at your word and holds the tea and kind of tilts it and is not watching to see if you're actually drinking anything.
Yeah, Jessica does not make eye contact with her at all. I feel like because Jessica didn't even introduce herself to the wolves because she is trying to stay as low as possible.
Laz.
I think that this is very ritualistic, and despite her assurances, this very much seems like a shared narcotic experience.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think
Come
he
with us.
absolutely drinks.
Come with us on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. He's ready for some peyote.
Oh, that was a 9 total for those of you following along at home with whatever
So-
the fuck Jake is doing.
I will tell you what I was doing is I was rolling charm for 2 oh wait, there's one other one that I have to roll. For the other wolves, for the wolves that were actually present, that interacted with Jessica, for lack of a better word. I'm just trying to see if any of them can see through. Oh, that was. So no, nobody saw through Jessica's ruse.
Wow.
At
She's
all.
done this before. She's made
Yeah.
bubbles. You know how it is. Very convincing.
Coop, are you gonna drink the tea?
Oh, Coop totally drinks. Someone's offering him food or drink. Yeah, he's all about it. Is it yummy?
I mean, it's yes.
Tastes like dandelions and pine
It's very it's a very smooth it's a very herbal tea, but it does have a hint of natural sweetness to it. But again, that warmth is spreading for all of you that are drinking it. You feel that warmth spreading through you. Oak.
Wow, this is really good. Is it celestial?
Celestial seasoning? Never mind.
A joke that is completely
killing you.
lost on the Anishi.
Yeah, I mean, I think Oak's gonna kind of like read the room, as it were, and then like he's gonna look over to Jessica, and there's that moment of like just like looking at all of them, all of his friends gathered in the same space. We're semi-warm, we're fed, we're actually in a place of safety for the moment, and we're being asked to drink this tea now. Ooh, there's a part of him that's like, no bueno. But if all of his other friends, from what he understands, if all of his other friends have taken it, he's not going to go alone. He doesn't want to be alone. So he will take part.
Peer pressure.
In Oak's head, he goes, "You'll never be cool if you don't do it, Oak." You hear that? Just
You hear your mom saying, "Well, if everyone else jumped off a bridge, would you?" The answer is yes.
Actually,
Yes,
Mom, yeah,
absolutely.
and I'd have a bungee cord ready. Boom.
Yeah.
I come prepared. Let's
Prepared.
go.
So Oak
Chug
drinks the
Lux.
tea, and finally, she comes almost with a reverence when she approaches you, Billy. And she holds it out to you. Will you drink?
Absolutely.
So, as all of you except for Jessica drink the tea, you are no longer stressed. Any whoops, I actually fixed yours. Jessica, you're still stressed.
unfortunately, Jessica is still yellow.
Jessica, you don't get the calming effects of the tea, so you're still under the stress, which is essentially you're just
Jessica's
one
still
level of
pissed
health
off.
lower. But the rest of you
Damn it.
all feel some of any nervousness or anxiety sort of wash away or be subdued slightly. And by morning, your any of the less serious bruises, scrapes, aches, and pains will be gone. Ashkaba approaches you, Billy. He places a hand on your shoulder and says, "I am very glad that we're able to meet on peaceful terms, William Simpson. Yanishi should be considered allies to you and your pack. You
I'm truly honored that you were so kind in sharing your stories and these words. There's not a whole lot who have been willing to stand and call us allies.
We are pleased to call you allies. And in time, friends. Call us if you need us. And though she
Where
sometimes
you are. Sorry.
will give you reasons to question her judgment, and he looks past you at Mouse. Trust Mouse. She is a good spirit, if a bit misguided at times. And she has a role to play as a guide. He then turns and he looks at each of you. You are a strong pack. Hold on to that. You will need it for whatever awaits you. I'm going to have... I'm going to find the right... let's see. I think he... Oh yeah, what I was looking for him. I have him right here. He's going to look at each one of you. This die will determine if he lingers on anyone in particular.
Oh, God.
Oh, that D20 rolled almost onto an 18 and then rolled back to an 8. So he does not give any lingering looks to Jessica. As he just looks to each of you in turn. And then he walks over to Mouse. And he has just a few short, quiet words. You just very faintly hear them speaking. And then he turns back to all of you and he says, and now, fulfilling her role as a guide, Mouse will lead you to your next appointment. We will be amongst the forests, through the valley. If you need us, you just need to call. And he turns, and as smoothly as turning and taking a step, he's back in wolf form, as are the other 4.
Ooh!
And as silently as they arrived, the Anishi, the guardians of the valley, or of the island, they disappear into the woods.
I turned to Mouse and I was like, I'm sorry I called you short. I didn't realize how well connected you were.
Well,
I apologize.
Hey, hold on to your apology. And as she says that, you see that she had kind of moved over next to the tent, and she crouches down. She reaches in her pack. And as she says, hold on to your apology, you see her pull a gun out of her pack. And then she goes, points it up in the sky and goes, poof! And a flare launches up into the air. Now, I don't know when traditional flare guns were created.
1855 or whatever the fuck is now.
But I will tell you this. When you see this flare gun in Mouse's hand, it is immediately obvious to all of you that it is anachronistic. It does not belong in 1855. About 30 seconds after this brilliant orange flare shoots up into the sky,
Fuck.
to the west, another flare pops and answers. And tracking down where it came from, in the flickering glow of this flare, you see the shipwreck you spotted previously off the coast of South Manitou Island. And you see 2 figures standing on the deck. One of them standing out almost like a sore thumb because of his white suit.
Oh,
And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
oh, this motherfucker. This motherfucker. Ugh.
Not
Oh,
a rat.
shit. Uh-oh. It's a rat. It's a fucking rat.
Tonight was a big time lore drop. And depending on your actions, next week could be some more lore. Before we go on our July hiatus, summer hiatus for a few weeks. I gave you all, if somebody grabbed that in the side chat, I gave you the name and spelling of the Anishi, and I gave you each of the tribe, the pack members' names. Did you guys catch that? Here, never mind. I'll put them in the Discord because I can give you their physical descriptions too, so you can remember which wolf is which person. So I'll do that after the game. But this was something that Craig and I over coffee worked on a few times, a little bit of it and some of the ideas. And Craig will probably tell you too that this did not go exactly how we discussed it going. But I had reasons for changing it that made more sense. But as always, I like to mention Craig because Craig and I do, whenever we meet for coffee, usually once a week, almost the entire hour is spent talking about this game and your characters and lore and all that stuff. So Craig is sort of like a silent co-DM. So
Amazing.
And then I took that stuff, came home and refined everything. But no, this has been a blast. I love when you guys get new lore anyway, just because I like adding to the overall lore of the game. But just seeing you guys go, here's a big heaping plate of lore, and you guys are just like, nom, 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 nom.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And I didn't know for sure, but I suspected at least one, maybe a couple of you would reject the herbal tea. Which was part of the reason why I brought up and made sure it was showing everybody's health levels so that I could show you what the result of turning down the tea was.
By the way, you guys are all a little hurting for certain. Here's some fun tea.
I also think it's pretty cool that I'm not going to tell you what would have happened, but basically 4 different wolves, and it was sort of almost like a passive check. They weren't actively trying to sniff you out, Jessica, for a lie. But 4 different wolves, 4 very specific reasons, were passively testing against your high charm roll. And it says a lot that you outsmarted
Damn.
a pack of werewolves.
She's homecoming queen for a
Listen,
reason.
she's a 16-year-old teenage girl. Lying, being deceitful, it's her jam.
From 1985. They have no frame of reference. So, as always, thank you to all of the lovely people supporting through bits and subs and stuff. Now, I already called out the ones that did before, but I'm going to throw out a shout out to Lunchbox, who subbed for 10 months tonight. Also, in case you didn't know, Lunchbox is the artist for the 7 Dooms for Sandpoint character art.
Hey, thanks for being here, Lunchbox.
And I did happen to catch your note, Lunchbox, and we absolutely need to connect for that. I think for over a year now, we've been talking about getting together for drinks or food or both, whatever. We're less than an hour apart from each other, so there's no reason we shouldn't be connecting. So we'll make that happen. We'll talk on Discord about that. Thank you to everybody hanging out in chat. As always, I love seeing conversations happen, even if I can't be a part of those. And if you're somebody that is lurking or watching with us on the VODs later, know that we appreciate you just as much and hope you enjoy our presentations. And an absolutely huge thank you. I know we're coming back in August, but there's still that little feeling of almost like when you leave school for summer vacation of not hanging out with you guys every week. Some of you in different capacities who I see more than once a week, that we won't be hanging out and playing games, but it is a much needed break for myself, and I'm sure others will appreciate the time off. So there's a little bit of that. Oh, it's almost time for summer vacation, and we only have one more session before we take our break. But I'm looking forward to playing next week, as I always look forward to playing with you, wonderful, amazing friends who I love dearly. I love telling stories with, and I just look forward to this so much. So thank you, as always, Chad, D'Amico, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy, and Em, without whom this would just be me dropping lore all by myself. And that sounded like a euphemism. I don't know what it means. But with that, we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
End it.
Mitider.
End it, hurry!